Welcome to the all-new variant, where we love comics more than we love our new variant logo, which is a lot, because our new logo is amazing. Today, my friends, we are launching Variant's brand new look to kick off our 5-year celebration. Pretty snazzy, right? On top of upgrading to a new logo, bumper, graphics, the whole smash. We are also updating the show's format a bit to bring you guys even more quality content than ever before. On top of that, we are also very excited to announce the launch of our new Variant website. That's right, my comic conrads. You can now go to variantcomics.com to check out our latest content, blog posts, news, and join in on conversations about all things comics with other members of the Variant Nation. We have some big long-term plans for variantcomics.com, so we'll constantly be growing and evolving into a hub for all things comics and geekdom. But go check it out for yourself, take in all the new car smell, and let us know what you think. Lastly, we promise giveaways for our 5-year celebration, and giveaways there shall be. Starting next week, we'll be kicking off a series of several amazing giveaways that will feature prizes from ThinkGeek, DC, Marvel, Hot Toys, Sideshow Collectibles, Shield Labs, and a bunch more. So make sure to hang out with us all summer long because it's gonna be a crap ton of fun. With all that covered, let me just say that the wait is almost over, my friends. Spider-Man Homecoming releases this week, and today we're taking a look at the history of the movie's main villain and one of Spider-Man's most iconic baddies, the Vulture. So without any further ado, roll that sweet new History Of bumper. There have been multiple characters to take up the Vulture mantle and go after Spidey over the years, starting with Adrian Toomes. But there's also been Blackie Drago, who was a prison cell made of Toomes that stole Toomes' Vulture wings and costume. Then you have Clifton Shallot, who was an expert in biomutation and a professor at Empire State University. Long story short, when one of his courses was canceled, he snapped and used his smarts to become a physical duplicate of the Vulture, undergoing a mutation of his face, nails, and teeth. The Vulture wings he was also working on became a part of his body for a while. There was also the Vulturians, a group of criminals who learned how to build the Vulture harness from the original Vulture, Adrian Toomes. Lastly, you have Jimmy Natali, a mutate vigilante and not necessarily a supervillain. Mutates are humans who mutated into a superhuman, but it's still different from the Inhumans and other sub-races. Anyway, he kills and eats criminals, so do what you wish with that information. But let's get to the origin of the original Vulture, Adrian Toomes. The Vulture first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 2 in May of 1963, and the character was created by none other than Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. What most don't realize is that the Vulture was actually Spider-Man's second supervillain ever, so it's kinda crazy that it's taken him this long to appear in a live-action Spider-Man movie. For those of you who might be wondering who Spider-Man's first supervillain was, that title goes to the Chameleon. So there's another addition to your comic book trivia file. Adrian Toomes was born in Staten Island, New York, and was a former electronics engineer who was once the business partner of Gregory Bestman. Bestman handled the money side of things while Toomes made the inventions. One day, Toomes created a flight harness that he thought was particularly awesome, so he rushed into Bestman's office to be like, yo, I made an awesome flight suit. But Bestman wasn't in his office, and we later come to learn that Bestman was actually a huge douchebag who was embezzling money. He even tricked Toomes out of his stake of the company by having Toomes unknowingly sign papers that gave up his share. So legally, there was nothing he could do. Pissed off about all this, Toomes perfected his flying harness, then donned the Vulture costume, turning to a life of crime as the Vulture. And it should go without saying, but with this new life of crime, the Vulture set out to kill Bestman and destroy the business they had once created together. That, of course, is when Spider-Man stepped in and stopped the Vulture from killing Bestman, which is one of the confrontations that led the Vulture to become one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. The Vulture is a freaking old man in the comics. Well, yes, he is. But despite his old age, he is a strong fighter and, even worse, a remorseless killer. Spider-Man and Vulture would fight numerous times in the comics, and he would even go on to join one of the most popular villain teams in comics, the Sinister Six, a team that originally consisted of Doc Ock, Vulture, Sandman, Kraven, Electro, and Mysterio. But I'll get more into that when I eventually give you a History of Sinister Six episode, which honestly is probably coming in the near future. Anyway, flashing forward a bit, Toomes was diagnosed with cancer due to the constant exposure to the essentials needed to power his flying harness. This led to the Vulture wanting to apologize to the Parker household for all his past sins. He even begged May Parker to forgive him for indirectly killing her boyfriend, Nathan Lebensky. Needless to say, Peter didn't want him anywhere near Aunt May, leading to a battle between Spider-Man and the Vulture, during which Spider-Man ripped off Vulture's wings, causing the two to crash land in a ditch. Vulture was ultimately arrested, and Aunt May told Toomes that she wanted his death to be slow and painful. Man, Aunt May, that's cold. She felt bad about this the next day and visited him in jail to apologize for her mean remarks. But she also told him she couldn't forgive him and that he would have to find redemption within himself and from God. Yeesh, that's rough. Sometime after this, The Vulture learned that the Chameleon and the Green Goblin had a plan to drive Spider-Man insane. They would do this by using shape-shifting androids to impersonate his late parents. But Toomes interfered and destroyed the androids, but also absorbed Mary Parker's artificial life force. This caused two things. One, it made him young again, and two, it cured his cancer. And this young version of Vulture is also the version most of us may be familiar with due to the 90s Spider-Man cartoon series. However, during this time in the comics, Vulture tried to kill everyone who knew him as an old man in order to get a new clean slate in life. The plan didn't work, and he ultimately reverted back to his old self, when mutated David Callan's power negated the youth effect. But hey, at least he tried, right? But jumping all the way to Superior Spider-Man, which was an awesome series by the way, it brought back the Vulture with some very cool upgrades and even a gang of little Vulture minions. Spider-Man, who in this series is Otto Octavius in Spider-Man's body, confronts Vulture and tries to bribe him into leaving town and giving up the crime life. Vulture doesn't comply, and he has one of his little henchmen attack Spider-Man, only for Spidey to accidentally knock one of the henchmen unconscious and to discover the Vulture has been using children as his minions all this time. And due to Otto's own abusive childhood, he becomes furious and brutally attacks the Vulture. Using the light of the spider signal, he blinds Toomes, causing him to crash onto the freaking roof. Carly Cooper then arrives and finds the Vulture barely alive, and we later see the Vulture in the Raft's infirmary. But Alistair Smythe helps heal and enhance Vulture via mini spider slayers, allowing the Vulture to begin attacking civilians, because that, my comic comrades, is what villains do. But when Smythe dies, all the Vulture's enhancements fail, leaving him blind and defenseless once again, and he gets tased by the Raft security officer. Anyway, let me move on to powers and abilities to see why he's been such a pain in the butt for Spider-Man all these years. The Vulture's harness grants him advanced strength, speed, flight, agility, and durability. But even with all that, his key weapon is his intellect. He's an extremely smart mechanical engineer with a crap ton of cunning. While in his harness, he can lift up to 700 pounds. However, when he removes it, his powers begin to fade, although it's not really known how long it takes for his powers to fade completely once his harness has been taken off. With his harness on, he can fly around at a speed of 100 miles per hour for as long as 600 hours straight. He could also reach an altitude of 11,000 feet above sea level. The Vulture also uses an array of weapons, such as guns and even weapons of his own invention, altogether making him a formidable force. As for reading recommendations, be sure to read The Amazing Spider-Man issue 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 241, Spider-Man Life Theft, A Different Kind of Vulture, Spider-Man the Blackie Drago Saga, and Spider-Man Noir. In the end, he's an awesome classic character, and I can't wait to see him in all his Michael Keaton glory this weekend.
I want to be healthy, but I'm way too busy to get to the store and buy ingredients to make what?
You mean lazy?
I am not lazy. I have a lot of editing going on. I want to get a month. I want to be healthy, but I am way too busy to go to the store to get all the ingredients to make a nutritious and delicious smoothie. Enter Daily Harvest. Oh, magic.
Oh my, that's terrible.
What do you mean? That is not terrible. That is production value. Daily Harvest delivers perfectly portioned smoothies and ready-to-go cups right to your front door or desk. So what do you say we pick one and get to smoothing? Oh, magic. Now let's get those ingredients in there and blend it up. It's so easy. Man, delicious. Almost like it was made from a team of chefs and nutritionists. Daily Harvest has 14 different blends of smoothies, not to mention other products. Go to daily-harvest.com/variant or click the link in the description and use the code VARIANT to get 3 free smoothies.
First up for Wednesday, June 5th, we have Spider-Man Master Plan Issue 1. Putting it simply, Spider-Man Homecoming releases this weekend, so of course you're going to want to read some Spidey comics. So why not start with the first issue of a new Spider-Man series? Now we have Batman Issue 26. The Riddler and the Joker escalate their bloody feud, and the villains of Gotham City are forced to choose sides or be caught in the crossfire. Here we have The Wicked the Divine Issue 29. This is a whole new story arc for the series that's about gods who incarnate humans every 90 years. Trust me, it's super interesting. Next, we have Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe Again, Issue 1. The title of this 5-issue miniseries says it all. Deadpool goes over the top and kills the entire Marvel Universe again. And finally, we have Green Arrow Issue 26. All I need to say is that you get the Emerald Archer and the Scarlet Speedster in this issue. And that's gonna bring another episode of Variant to a close. But remember, if you like today's show, be sure to subscribe and then hit the little bell next to it so you're notified whenever we upload a new video. But as always, you can like our Variant Facebook page, keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant Comics or me on Twitter at Arris_Quinones. And be sure to check out our new VariantComics.com website. I put the link for that in the description below. But I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics.